Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead video, and today we'll be talking about my top 10 best characters in my opinion on The Walking Dead. I kind of did a video like this about 10 months ago, but that was only top 5, and I feel like it's incorrect now. I feel like my opinion has changed, and this is now my definitive list. As The Walking Dead is now ending, we've been introduced to all the characters we will ever get on the show now, so let's run right into this list and talk about my honorable mentions, and we have a couple here. This was way harder than I thought this list would be to make, but some of my honorable mentions that were almost on this list are characters like Tyrese, who used to be my favourite. Like during season 5 he was definitely my favourite, but he didn't make it on this list, barely. Characters like Jerry, who are so lovable, and even newer characters like Mercer and Princess, which were both almost on this list, but I feel like they weren't as good as this top 10 in my opinion. So let's jump right into this, and in 10th place is Alpha. This, in my opinion, is one of the best villains we have got. She's up there with the Governor. In villains, I would say she's better than Negan as a villain. She was very interested. She was a scene stealer. I loved the Whisperers, and she was basically the core reason why. She was so good in a time in the show. She never outstayed her welcome like some characters did. Her story was told nice. It was told very well. And I'm so happy we're getting so much more of her in Tales in a couple months' time. Now, in 9th place is Aaron. I wouldn't expect Aaron to be on this list. However, I feel like Aaron went from a very good background character to being one of my favourites. And I think it's mainly because a lot of the big characters are gone. So Aaron's just stealing a lot of the scenes. I really like Aaron. He looks so cool with his beard, hair. He looks like Comic Rick. And that really helps in my opinion. So he has an iconic look. He's very fun and interesting. And I feel like he's a very good character for gay representation, because he is just gay. However, that's not his whole thing. It's just his sexuality. It's like he's basically a straight person. You don't make it his whole thing that they're straight. That's how he's written in the show. It's not his whole thing he's gay. He might be gay, but that's not his characterization. It really helps with AMC that they're really good at writing gay characters in my opinion. So Aaron definitely has to be on this list just because he's such a complex character and he's so well written. He's never really had a bad story arc in my opinion. In 8th place is Michonne. I really like Michonne because she's such a cool character. She first of all has the coolest weapon in my opinion, the katana. Absolutely cool, and she has a really cool story arc with her going from this kind of very withdrawn, heartless character to this mother of not only her own kid but someone else's kid. Michonne is such a really cool character. It was a shame we lost Diagonera. However, her acting career kind of boomed, so we couldn't falter for leaving the show. But Michonne is absolutely amazing in my opinion. She's such a cool character, and she could have led the show in my opinion. If Michonne wasn't going to leave the show in season 11, she would have stayed on. I would have rather the show revolved around her and not Daryl, because Michonne would have been a better lead in my opinion. Now in 7th place is the Governor, and this is the best villain in my opinion. He's such a complex character. He's so well acted. David Morrissey is so good in this role, and he has so much nuance. He's just so in depth. He's not just kind of this black and white villain like he was in the comics. The show really, in my opinion, this is one of the only times where the show did better than the comics, and that's definitely with the Governor. He's such a cool character. I'm sad he died. However, if they gave him any longer, it would have kind of ruined the character in my opinion. But the Governor has to be on this list because he was definitely a scene stealer. It's a shame they didn't give much Rick and Governor scenes. They weren't in many scenes. They didn't meet to the end of season 3 really. It's shame. Hopefully we had more of that in my opinion. But the Governor is one of the best characters in my opinion. Now in 6th place is Daryl. And with Daryl, he is kind of a character you either love him or hate him. I'm kind of a bit indifferent on him. I feel like he's a cool side character, like Morgan's a cool side character, but he's been forced into a lead role which doesn't fit him, in my opinion. However, Daryl has a really cool weapon, and Norman Reedus really acts him well. He's a good actor, Norman Reedus is, and it really shows with Daryl. I really like Daryl. He's a very interesting character. He's got very good story. I feel like his story could have ended earlier. In my opinion, I feel like Daryl could have ended in maybe season 9 or 8 and died then, and he would be a better character in my opinion. I feel like season 10 and 11 have really hurt his character, and Daryl's gone down in my opinion. I like him less because of the newer seasons, but Daryl's still a really solid character. He is very entertaining to watch and he's very fun. In 5th place will be Abe, and this man is kind of perfect casting. Whoever casted Abe needs an award, because they got the perfect actor, and Abraham is so funny, he's so witty, he's definitely a scene stealer. He was always the kind of comic part of the show and he was very focused on being this comic relief for the show. You really need him in the darker moments. One of my favourite quotes is definitely when Abe is talking to Glenn about when they're pulling the whisk whip and where they plan to make pancakes. That's definitely the best scene in one of my opinions. I really love Abe, and it's sad he's dead. It'd been cool to see more of him. However, I felt like his death was great, and it made Abe a better character because it made him more precious, and he didn't outstay his welcome in my opinion. Now, in 4th place is Glenn, and everyone would expect this character to be on the list. He is definitely a fan favourite character, and everyone agrees Glenn was definitely the heart of the show. He was the best part of the early seasons. He was always this character that we would see like our eyes. He would be our eyes for the show. He went on the hero story. However, it did feel kind of very lackluster in the end. However, it's how the comics work, it's how the show is. Kill off characters before they outstay their welcome. Glenn was such a cool character. He was always very kind-hearted. Everyone loved Glenn, and he was such a good leader. It'd be cool to see what his story would have been if he survived the Negan War. Like, what type of leader would he become? He would definitely become a leader, and I definitely think Glenn would have maybe taken over from Rick at some point and be better leader than Maggie. However, I feel like Glenn's death was something that needed to happen for the show. But it's sad to see him go, but Glenn was definitely up there and one of the best characters. In 3rd place is Hershel, and I think this could be some controversy behind this one, but everyone would agree he is one of the best characters, but you might not agree how high he is on my list. Hershel was definitely my favourite in the early seasons. He was so lovable, and he brought this kind of wisdom to the show. Like, after Hershel died, Glenn kind of filled his role, but before Glenn, it was Hershel. He was one of the best well acted in my opinion. Hershel was very entertaining to watch, and I really loved his kind of mentorship of Rick, and he definitely shaped the show. He definitely shaped a lot of characters that are still in the show now, and his presence is still felt more than some other characters like Abraham. You don't really feel his presence, but characters that are Glenn or Hershel or some others are definitely still felt, and you can still feel the impact they have, and that shows how good those characters were and how big those characters were. And in my opinion, Glenn and Hershel are definitely more important, and they're more impactful than Rick, in my opinion. Now in 2nd place is Negan, and a lot of people agree he's one of the best characters in the show now, just because he went on such a good story. He was a really bad villain in my opinion, but because they didn't do the Negan ending and they kept him on, he became such a great character. He, like, Jeffrey D. Morgan just portrays Negan so well, and he's so good at showing different parts of Negan, and definitely Jeffrey D. Morgan carries the show in points in my opinion. Negan's just so good. He's funny. I really liked how Negan was kind of a charismatic, kind of fooling around character at first. However, as time's gone on, Negan's now a very serious character, which sucks. However, it's still good. I do prefer maybe the season 8 and 9 Negan in my opinion, where he's just kind of messing around, pulling jokes all the time. The new Negan's still good, however he's not as good as he used to be in my opinion. But this is all down to Jeffrey D. Morgan just being one of the best actors on this show. And now at number 1, and everyone knows who it's going to be, Rick Grimes. Okay, Andrew Lincoln was perfectly casted. He was the main protagonist and the only protagonist of the show in my opinion. Since he's been gone, there's just been this void of leadership in my opinion. Like, they don't talk about him. It's just really annoying. Like, you don't feel his impact that often because they just avoided that Rick just existed. I'm really excited for the movies because Andrew Lincoln's going to be back in the role of Rick Grimes, and he definitely owned that role. And if they ever do a reboot, they just can never fill the hole that Andrew Lincoln's left with this character. Rick was always so captivating. He was always so cool. It was cool to see how he went from Farmer Rick to Crazy Rick and became more civilized again. It was just, he was such a good character, and he went through so much character development, and he was our anchor to this universe, and I had to put him at #1. But please tell me down below, what do you think about my list? Do you agree with my list? Do you not agree with my list? Please tell me down below what your list is. I would like to know your thoughts and opinions and everything. But this is it for me today. So if you want more Walking Dead content, look on the screen. Feel free to subscribe for all things Walking Dead, and have 2 videos of The Walking Dead every week forever, hopefully. And I will see you in the next video. So goodbye, peace out, and I'll talk to you later.